flooding the city's lift station where it became inoperable. The lift station is off, the courthouse bathrooms are closed. Shane and I met with city staff and determined that the best short-term fix would be to have the lift station pumped twice a day until the stormwater level reduces. This may take up to a week, depending if there are no more rain events. After the stormwater level decreases, the county will have to hire a contractor and the engineer to determine where the leaks are and then repair those leaks, how we could repair those leaks. Keep in mind the age of the sewer lines we're discussing here today. The city has purchased a larger new pump-out truck that should be delivered this week. When the new truck arrives, the city has agreed to let the county use their old truck to do the daily pump-outs. County staff would do the pump-outs and drive the truck. And that won't be me or Shane, that'll probably be somebody from the road department or from solid waste. We haven't figured that part out yet. Until then, I authorized Collins Construction to do the daily pump-outs at a cost of $500 per day. Again, this was the only way to keep the bathrooms in the courthouse open and operable.
So you said y'all, people not using the bathroom?
No, the bathrooms are open now once we keep pumping out the
And they making it,
lift station.
they making it to there. They pumping right now.
Yes, sir.
The water coming out the courthouse and they going there.
Yes, because if you go right to that manhole right there, as you step off the sidewalk, if you're coming from the main courthouse, coming this way, you open that manhole, you can see the water flowing in there from the courthouse.
But they pumping right across the street.
Yes, because that's where the lift station is. So the water comes through there and it goes straight to the lift station.
Okay, look like that lift station ought to be shipping it somewhere else.
Or be doing what?
It ought to be doing, it ain't got no business staying in that lift station. The lift station right there. The water in the bottom.
They supposed to be lifting and pumping now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
pumping it out.
And they're saying if it's
Pumping it out.
flooded, it's too much water, it just doesn't work. You have to shut it off.
Sure, I got a
It's a
question.
big problem.
I got a question. Is the lift station our lift station?
No,
or
it's
theirs?
not, it's the city's lift station.
What are we paying for that truck then?
Because it's the stormwater that is coming into our sewer system and flooding the city's lift station. It's overwhelming the city's lift station. That's what's going on. So basically, on a Saturday when nobody's in the courthouse, no use of the bathrooms, there's still a lot of water coming through the courthouse sewer system, flooding the lift station. That's the problem. So if there's nobody using the bathrooms, where's the water coming from?
You think
That's
it's coming
a citywide
That
sewer
thing could-
problem.
Yeah.
It's
it
not
could
just this
be.
one lift station.
No, but they have fixed the others, and actually, I'll say this to you, there's also, they also want to talk to us about the same problem they're having at the hospital, but that's a conversation they need to have with them and David. So, it's like, you go to the city and say, you know, my water bill is so high, you know, why is it so high? And they pull up the meter and say, because you use this much water. Any leaks you have on your side of the meter is your responsibility. And I'm not here to defend the city, don't get me wrong, I want to be very clear about that, but I'm trying to explain how it was explained to me, that
Okay.
basically this water is infiltrating our sewer system and therefore flooding the lift station, therefore they have to turn off the lift station until we could pump it out, lower the water, then it operates again.
We got a hole in the pipe somewhere, Ricky, and when that
That
thing,
has
you know what I'm
nothing to
saying,
do
the
with
city of Carabel does it, it will drain a
That has nothing
pond.
to do with what I'm asking.
No, I'm just saying, but it'll drain a pond, so they ought to have a bigger pump to pump it out.
It has nothing to do with what
We
I'm
think a
asking.
bigger lift
So,
station would
yeah.
change.
What I'm trying to differentiate is, I can just go to what I know.
Mm-hmm.
East Point Water and Sewer has assumed lift stations, and it is our responsibility for neighborhoods and communities and private communities in East Point.
Okay.
And if there's a problem, they're not charged something, that East Point Water and Sewer has to take care of that.
So, didn't they come to us when they claimed that the sheriff's department was putting stuff in the system damaging the lift station?
That was more about the trash that was being put in there.
And I guess what I'm trying to explain is
Sheets and-
replace trash with stormwater.
Stormwater is not man-made. We didn't do that because of some kind of mismanagement on our part.
So if we have a leak let's say we have a leak in the pipe under the courthouse, where stormwater is getting into our sewer pipes. That's not, are you saying?
We
that's
can do
the city?
that, but when we do that, if there is no leak, then what are we gonna do? We're gonna get our money back?
Probably not.
I mean, you know what I'm
we
saying?
could-
That's the point.
I see what you're saying, but I mean, here's the thing. I mean, if you guys have a better idea, I'm with it, but if you want to keep the bathrooms open,
Yeah,
that's
you
the
gotta do
proposal
something.
right now.
Yeah.
And you guys tell me if you want to do something else, I'm for it.
Yeah.
But they supposed to be pumping. Once that thing fill up, they supposed to be pumping. It don't never supposed to fill up.
It closed down.
Huh?
It closed down.
They supposed to, when they get to a certain level, what they saying?
And what they say,
pumping?
when it's flooded, Commissioner, they have to turn it off temporarily until we get the stormwater pumped out from there, and then they turn it back on and then it operates. That's the problem. Again, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a water and sewer professional, I'm telling you what I'm being told. And so I took what I thought was the best option to keep the courthouse bathrooms open, to
Well,
keep the courthouse
You
running.
done right, I ain't got
Yeah.
a problem
Yeah,
with you, but
Yeah, so, and again, I'm not here trying to defend the city in any way,
You
but I'm
done
telling you
right,
what we're
bro.
dealing with. And until we can get, like Commissioner Jones says, until we can get, and like Commissioner Lockley and Commissioner Parrish said it earlier, could we can get our engineers in there to decide, to tell us what's wrong, why is all this water coming through the system? I'm kind of handcuffed at the moment, to be very honest with you. Because the city is saying it's us.
Yeah.
And like you say, Commissioner, until we find out differently,
That line that runs down the road belongs to them. All ours is this from there to the building.
Yeah.
right.
When you hook up to city water and sewer, it's all theirs.
Yeah.
Is Collins Construction coming every day and actually?
Twice a day.
To the tune of $500
twice a day. Yep, first thing in the morning and first thing and last thing in the evening. They try to catch us between their regular jobs.
Well,
And we were hoping that the level would go down by today or tomorrow. When I
We
woke
got
up this
more
morning
rain.
and I looked outside and I saw it raining, I was like, oh, dear God, you know?
Okay.
But that's where I am. So,
Okay. Yeah.
But
Keep
what I
pushing
don't
on.
understand, Mike, is where's all this water coming from?
that, they're
It can't
saying,
be coming out of the ground. The courthouse is up on the hill.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't understand. I understand if you get some rain that goes through the ground, you get a little water, but not 25 or 30,000 gallons every time they pump.
I mean,
it ain't. It can't get that much water up there on top of that hill. It's got to be coming out of the road or some of the infrastructure or something.
And like you said, possibly the problem with Leslie Street is tied to this problem.
I believe it is.
yeah.
So
It got to
that's-
be.
That's
It's
why
something on-
I mean, even if you got a line coming from the courthouse down to the edge of that road right there, ain't no way that thing is sucking up 25,000 gallons worth of water. Because it's up on the hill, the water table should be down there. Like, level, if it ain't up in the street, then it ain't even street height.
So where's this water coming from?
And we had Hurricane Michael that flooded the courthouse, we ain't had this problem.
That's right.
Now all of a sudden we got a problem, and that street over there is
It's washed out.
from underneath it.
Yes, it is. I don't know what,
But I'm not an engineer either, I understand what
Yeah.
you're saying, if it's our problem,
You got
we
a
gotta
hole
fix
over,
it, but.
you got a hole over there, it coming down that side from Leslie Street, and that city got a pipe right in the middle of that hole.
yeah, I don't know. And as soon as we get that level down enough, you know, I'm gonna talk to Clay because they're the ones that did the work for the city on Leslie Street, Dewberry did. Someone they can do the same thing here and figure out where is this water coming from. That's what I need to know.
Well, they didn't find no leaks over there? They didn't tell you they found no leaks over there?
On Leslie Street, they found a whole different set of problems, Commissioner. I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to speak out of turn, but don't look for Leslie Street to be open before sometime next year. I'm just being honest with this board.
That's where the problem
Straight
at.
up.
So the best thing to do, we can't say nothing till we
Yeah.
do our thing.
I just need our level to go down, let me call in Dewberry and tell us, okay, this is what's going on, and then we know.
Okay.
Because when we did it years ago, and Commissioner Parrish, you were here, Attorney Schuler, Madam Clerk, years ago, we had somebody, I can't remember, Mark has probably gone to lunch, We paid a contractor to run the camera up there quite a few years ago, and at that time, they didn't find any leaks, but it's quite a few years ago. And again, courthouse was built in 1940. I asked Mark, Commissioner, if there are plans, and he said yes. He said the only problem is, he said in 1940, the architect would send plans to build a building, the contractor would build a building how he wanted to build a building. So the plan, and I'm pretty
But
sure,
we put
I'm
sleeves-
saying that because, you know, you have good history here, so,
Ain't
he's
nothing
saying,
wrong with them pipe.
We put sleeves in them pipe not too long ago.
that's the question. That's what we're trying to find out. Did we actually put sleeves, or did we just run the camera up there, we didn't see
No,
any
they put the
leaks?
sleeves in them pipe, what, so many, it ain't been that long. I mean,
That's what we were looking
I was in the
for,
office.
to see
what, 8 years?
if sleeves were up there or not. That's what I'm looking for, trying to find
They
out. To
put
Mark
some-
and do some research for that too.
I think, I remember that. They put some sleeves, cause they was,
That was
Yeah.
about 12 years ago.
Ain't nothing we can do to that, Combs.
Yeah, Commissioner Jones, I mean,
They claimed we
you
had
have
a
more
leak
experience with
in.
water,
They
so I
claimed we had a
don't,
leak
I was
in.
letting you what the city told me, you know?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
and that's probably what we need to do, but that's because we can pay for it.
I guess.
No other lift stations in Appalachia is getting charged for anything. And I promise you, if their
Don't forget the
stormwater,
hospital, that's
if the
counting on too.
stormwater's infiltrating, it's infiltrating everywhere. It's not infiltrating in one spot.
Yeah,
That just ain't happening.
they made it seem like we're now isolated, that we're one of the
I
bigger
understand.
problems, and Weeds was second. So I just heard Commissioner Parrish on this air say, don't forget that's county owned too.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's, it is what it is. But the whole system got backlogged and you have problems after that.
Mhm.
The only time we ever let that happen at East Point Water and Sewer, it took us almost a solid week of guys working 20 hours a day to unclog. And, you know, when you let it get clogged up and then you get rain on top of it, yeah, it's gonna be bad for a while.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Well,
anyway, we
what
gotta
I'm-
move forward,
And
so.
what I'm asking the board today is just ratify.
moved.
Oh,
So,
got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
and if there's any possibility that it will pass, it'll go more than the next couple of days, I'll report back to you individually, okay?
Let's do what we gotta do to keep it
Yeah,
open.
I
We
just
gotta
have to keep
keep
the
the
courthouse
courthouse
open.
open.
Yeah.
But, I wanna see the outcome of, send everybody the outcome of, when y'all do take that film,
Yeah.
I wanna know the outcome of that.
Okay, we addressed item 3 already, addressed item 4. I should have addressed item 5 when Tracy was here. As Ms. Busby explained earlier, since your last meeting, the state authorized an additional 20%, which translates to approximately $423,000 of CARES Act funds to the county as a disbursement. The county should receive these funds once the initial 25% is either encumbered or expended, but she said it slightly differently this morning. The remaining 55% of funds will be paid as reimbursements based on allowed expenditures. As time was an issue, Chairman Lockley signed the amended contract so that Ms. Busby could upload it to the FDM system to expedite the approval process. I just need, and that's for the new contract that includes the 20% and the balance, the other 55%.
So moved.
Thank you.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
We did 6, 7, we're at 8. At this point in the meeting, the board should have opened and read aloud the sealed request for proposal for construction engineering inspection services for County Road 30A, the resurfacing project from Gulf County Line to 13 Mile and Highway 67, resurfacing project from Highway 98 to the Crooked River Bridge. The next step is to advertise for bids for construction of these projects. These bids will have a November 16th submission deadline and will be open at your November 17th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Massa and vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All, three, none. Pass unanimous.
Item 9, county received the contract for the St. George Island new bathroom facility project. In order to expedite the project so that the notice proceed could be issued as soon as possible, I asked the chairman to sign the agreement. I'll inform the board when the notice to proceed is ready, and Mr. Solomon, your TDC chairman, should contact you sometime this week about the upcoming official groundbreaking ceremony for this project, and I think it's scheduled for the 20th
At 2.
at 2? At 2 o'clock. Thank you, sir. So, I'm sorry, action to ratify the chairman's signature on
So
that
moved.
project.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Master. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
We did item 10. 11, Florida Housing has issued, it's a SHIP request, issued Amendment 1 to the Coronavirus Relief Fund Agreement, which is attached, to incorporate language pertaining to the technical bulletins that are used to explain updated processes, provisions, or monitoring requirements as Florida Housing receives updates, clarification, and additional guidance from the U.S. Treasury. This amendment will be effective as of October 1st. Board action to approve and sign Amendment 1 to the CRF agreement.
So moved.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
And as an update, Ms. Lori Schweitzer Mills said that for that project, they've received 53 applications to date. As of September 30th meeting, they've spent $34,540.48, and they're continuing to receive and process applications. Item 12. Back in May, the board enacted new permit fees for the county, and based on the new fees, the building department has seen a revenue increase in their budget. There is enough history to determine how to adjust the budget to reduce the amount of ad valorem taxes to offset the revenue increase. However, what is currently available is enough to purchase a new truck for the building department. The current vehicle, a 2013 GMC Terrain with over 100,000 miles, was a transfer. In other words, a hand-me-down from the administrative department. The new truck from the state purchasing contract is a 2021 Ford F-150 Crew Cab XL 4x4 for $30,202. As previously requested by this board, it is a four-wheel drive that would allow the truck to be used during storm recovery events. Board action to authorize the purchase of the 2021 truck for the building department paid from collected permit fees.
So moved.
Second.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Massey, second by Commissioner Burke. Y'all got the money?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
And if everything works out when the truck gets here, you know, it's a number of weeks, almost probably a few months, a couple of months. I'll ask the board if I could transfer the GMC to the library because they do not have a vehicle and she has to travel between Carabel and Eastport on a regular basis.
Do they got y'all got that off the bid list?
Yes,
Okay.
state bid list, yes. Duval Ford in Jacksonville, Florida, yes, sir. 13 we did. 14, the beautification project for the state-owned land between Brian Patton Bridge exit and Bayshore Drive on St. George Island is ready to be advertised for construction bids. The advertisement will run for 2 weeks with a November 16th submission deadline. The bids will be open and read aloud at your November 17th regular meeting. Board action to authorize the construction bids for St. George Island beautification grant project.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones, second by Commissioner Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That pass unanimous.
Item 15, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Item 15, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently moved Florida into Phase 3 reopening plan. However, Governor DeSantis also extended Executive Order 2069, with Executive Order 2246, until November 1st, 2020, which allows local government bodies to utilize communication media technology to meet remotely instead of requiring a quorum of that government body to meet at a specific place. After November 1st, there must be a quorum of the government body in a specific place to conduct a public meeting. The expiration of Executive Order 2069, as stated by the Florida Association County, that's what they say about that. The remote meetings, and I quote, only affected members of the body. So, the expiration of the remote meeting executive order does not affect the discretion afforded local governments to make rules governing public access and participation in meetings. I bring this to the board's attention as there have been emails and social media posts incorrectly stating what Phase 3 and the expiration of Executive Order 2069 means regarding public meetings. As I previously stated at a meeting, I asked the board to consider when the board is ready to allow public back into the meeting room. I would like the opportunity to create a policy for board review and adoption that would state how meetings will be conducted in a hybrid style to incorporate virtual and in-room participation. So what I'm saying, Commissioner, Zoom is here forever. Live stream is here forever. So when you have public hearings, for instance, there's one in November that was moved because it was such a touchy subject and they moved it. How are we going to balance the people that want to participate through Zoom, the people that want to come in the room? Suppose you run out of room of people that want to come in to participate. We have to make it fair so it doesn't look like you sided for or against the ones that happen to be in the room versus the ones that are using the virtual, so just say Zoom. So all that is what I would like the board to allow me to consider as I create a policy for us to deal with these situations in the future. And so I just need a cue from the board when you think you're ready to do that, because I got to do this, and then I have to run it by Attorney Schuler so he can look at it, take it apart, and put it back together and tell me what will work and what won't work. And that's what I'm asking today. I'm asking for a motion today. I just need some direction. If it's something you want me to start working on now, or you're not ready for me to work on it yet, or you have any recommendations or suggestions or whatever.
Do we have any feedback from other counties right now, what they're doing with this dilemma?
I have not checked, sir, to be very honest with you, and I could if that's what you'd like me to do.
Okay, can do.
Mr. Chairman, from Michael, we also could just check with FAC and see if they have some kind of, I mean, they're working for all these all county governments in the state of Florida. See if they have some kind of, recommendation.
I'm gonna make a motion that staff do some research and come back to us at the next meeting with some recommendations.
Okay, and just so, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Parrish, second by Commissioner Jones. Discussion. Good.
And so I'm clear, so the board is clear and the public is clear. That quote I got was from FAC.
Right.
Yeah, they had a listing of things to know about the expiration of 2016, and that's where I got that quote from. So just so you know where the source was for that.
Oh, yeah, and I'm talking about for
But
going
both for the
forward.
public and for you guys, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm talking about for going forward, like you're saying, we're probably still gonna have to have Zoom. That's gonna be part of it. It's gonna be a hybrid deal. But surely, some of the other county governments in the state of Florida have asked FAC, that's what they do.
That's what they're there for.
Have asked FAC to give direction or clarity on some of it, and it might be a good place to start.
I sure will.
And you got to, Mr. Chairman, you got to consider that you got your department heads and all that here.
Yes.
Now, how many more can you accommodate and be socially distanced properly, and
Yes.
are we gonna require them to wear masks when they're in the building or not? I mean, we're pretty much separated here, but out there, I mean, so there's things you need to look at, right, you know.
And if the board doesn't mind, I'd also like to work with the court, because Madam Clerk, they're still in phase 2, if I'm not, so I'd like to work with them and see, as we share this room with the county judge, you know, where they are and what they recommend also, if you're good with that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Thank you. Okay, court enforcement update. So as directed by the board, staff has been researching the creation of a county code enforcement department. It's not just an officer, it's a department. As a result of this research, I realized that most, but not all, of the complaints are related to RVs and travel trailers that may or may not be illegally on properties with electrical connections. With that in mind, would the board consider authorizing staff to research and review the RV travel trailer complaints over a period of time, look at your current travel trailer ordinance, and recommend some changes to that ordinance that may stop some of the prohibited RV travel trailer uses, but allow uses in certain areas? Staff would pause the code enforcement efforts and focus on the RV travel trailer use in the unincorporated areas of the county. So, to me, that's actually, it's a bigger problem, and it actually is a quicker fix, to be honest with you, if we focus on that. Because code enforcement, again, it's not just an officer, it's a board and or a special master of some sort. Because the complaints have to go to somebody when that officer writes somebody up, and then they have to be dealt with. He asked me for a recommendation since, well, I mean, Zoom, his deputy isn't here. If we're gonna do code enforcement, I would say we have to sit down with the sheriff. Because to me, who better to do code enforcement than the sheriff? But that's right today, it's not what I'm asking for. What I'm saying, do you want us to continue with both, the research both on a parallel kind of venture?
Well, you know, I brought this idea up of code enforcement. And though I do appreciate the large number of RV dysfunctional issues there, we have a huge amount of other brands of code enforcement violations. One brand is there's allegedly a gentleman in my district that seems to be doing high-level commercial work in his residence, and that's been challenged. There's another gentleman who has moved in essentially a shed, air conditioned and electrified it, and said he's camping and been there that many years. There are other issues of huge amounts of trash and unsanitary conditions. And it just seems to me that we just have a whole recipe of many dysfunctions in code enforcement. I know that this is a delicate point, but I also see the need for enhancement and beauty in our county and consistency and management of how we manage our codes that we have authored over decades, that have been our standard of practice in building and living in this county. And I feel like we need to start thinking about this because I'm seeing more and more concern. I'd like to broaden it more than just RV issues. And perhaps we take a gentle landing here and consider perhaps the word code enforcement seems disciplinary in some ways. It seems like maybe it should be a code educator with some teeth in it, something like that, to begin changing the environments that we see here. And yes, I like the idea of the sheriff being able to bring the legal credentials to such an event. I think we should continue to look at code education and code facilitation and maybe code enforcement as well, just all together. Our county just needs it. I'm sure you guys think of areas in your districts that are challenging, like in mine.
Ready to vote on it.
Well, what are you asking for?
I just wanted some direction as to where, and Commissioner Bowles is pretty clear with his direction, and he wants us to continue with the code enforcement push. Again, I just understand that, and some of the things like trash, I hate to say it this way, but it's going to come across wrong, but we have trash, and then sometimes what people think is trash, then we have to look at what code exactly are we going to enforce, Commissioner Bowles.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, the code enforcement process, it's a long process. I don't want to fool anybody, because there's this thought out there, we just find some money, hire enforcement officers, and we let them loose and let them go. That's not how it works.
No.
And that I found out by doing the research.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to bring it back to the board and say, okay, understand where we are. This is a long process, and which direction do we want to go in? Do you want a volunteer code enforcement board? Is that who you want hearing and making the final decisions? Do you want a special master? Because then that, in case additional costs besides the code enforcement officer, what codes are we going to enforce? Do we look at our codes and say, okay, we need to beef this up, like you're saying, Commissioner, and there's maybe no code for something that you guys think we didn't need to, all that needs to be considered. That's a timely process, and I was trying to deal with some of the immediate issues that I see as we're doing this research. But we're good. I just, if there are any more thoughts from the board.
I favor the step-by-step approach. Because and this, just follow me, I know it's a crude example, but if all I know is basic math and you want to teach me geometry, I probably need some algebra in between. So I favor the step-by-step approach that you're laid out here with trying to take a specific issue, see what we can research, come up with, because there's going to have to be a lot of things answered. It's not just, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can obviously see what's wrong, but there are processes
Yeah.
to get there.
Yes, sir. Let's take the RV, for instance. So, so with the RVs and travel trailers illegal, yeah, we have codes, and yes, we can do some things, but is this board of county commissioners ready for the pushback you're going to get if we kick everybody out of RVs and travel trailers throughout unincorporated Franklin County? Who's going to deal with the homeless problem?
But they gonna want you to deal with it. They gonna want you to build a big 20,000 square foot homeless shelter. Somebody's got to feed them. Somebody's got to take care of their health care. And you've kicked them all out and they're doing the best they can. I understand, just like you, Michael, like you said, we have codes and we have laws. But with the downturn of the bay, with the COVID, with all this other stuff, where are these people gonna go? Now, somebody told me they can go to Gulf County or Wakulla County. Well, they not going to Gulf and Wakulla County. They gonna stay right here. Where are they gonna go? Is this board ready to fund all that? Is the taxpayer ready to fund all that? Because that's ultimately where this board gets its money from. And some places in the county are worse than others. We all have problems. We all have problems, okay? But some places are worse than others. What are these people gonna do? I don't have the money to do it myself, or I would. Does anybody here have the money to do it themselves? No, the taxpayers are gonna have to do something. You can't throw all these people out on the street, then they're gonna get wrote up for being on the street. What are they gonna do? I mean, there's some of these places got 5 or 6 campers on one lot and a house in the front. Where are these people going? Who's gonna take care of them? They doing the best they can. And then some people's got stuff in their yard that me and you might call trash. That might be a treasure to them. That might be stuff they use to make a living. Whether it's shrimping with old nets hanging up, or doors, or boats, or how far do you want this conversation to go with code enforcement? Now, they ain't coming to my house. My yard pretty clean. I ain't worried about that. It ain't me that I'm worried about. It's other people. And some of this didn't start yesterday. Some of this stuff is generational. It goes way back. You know, the way people were raised, and that's fine. I ain't saying nothing bad about nobody. But that's what they used to. How far does the board want to go with it? I mean, they ain't coming to my house. My yard's clean. My yard's cut, well kept. I do it, I know. But I'm saying some of these people are doing the best they can. If we throw them out, these campers, you're talking about electrical. It ain't just electrical. Some of them just letting sewer run on the ground.
Yes, sir.
So it ain't just electrical when you start looking at campers. In most places, residential places are not equipped to allow multiple units to hook up to their septic tank. I mean, you just got a host of issues here, and if you drop the hammer, you better be willing not only for the pushback, but how to address all these other problems now that you're fixing to create. Because people have lived like this for 20, 30, 40 years. And now all of a sudden you're going to drop the hammer? I don't know how these people going to get by. What they going to do.
Let's just get a study done, and if that don't work, call Blue and he'll tell us what to do.
That's why, and to quote Commissioner Jones, that's why I was, and I guess he said it better than I did, with all the words that I have, a step-by-step approach. I was trying to take the biggest problem that we have, let's fix that, and then let's move to some of the other problems, Commissioner Bull, that you're saying. Now, if you want me to, I'll come back to you with a list of what I think actually is creating all of our code enforcement complaints. And let's look at the list, and you say, okay, Michael, that, then deal with this. Or I could just keep pushing on the way I'm doing, trying to
Just come back with a list and let's look at the list.
Yeah, I think the list is good. And then also do some comparables of other counties, maybe not even in this state, that are dealing with this dilemma.
Outside of the state, you said, or within the state?
Perhaps anywhere in the country.
Yeah, because we've been dealing, that's what we've been doing, a lot of the smaller rural counties is what I'm trying to complete.
I'm sure there's a dilemma that some have solved.
Well, and in some senses, and I could be wrong, some senses with code enforcement, I don't think you go and try to find a problem that's existed for 30 years and say you're a problem. I think it's more about turning the faucet off somewhere at a point in time and moving forward as much as anything.
I see what you're saying, yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So,
But
I mean, we've done things as a board to keep things from proliferating as being a problem.
Yeah.
We've headed off and we've made decisions to do that. And I would look at it the same way, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, so,
As opposed to trying to, like Commissioner Parrish is saying, I'm not saying we need to put 2,000 people out of a home, but we have to have some way to keep us from having 4,000 people living that way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so I'll follow Commissioner Massey's thing and come back to you at the next meeting with a list and say, okay, Commissioner, this is, based on staff, this is what we research, this is what we see as the problems, how do you want us to address it?
Do you know, you got to first find out how many people are doing it.
Oh, really, Commissioner?
I mean, you know, you got to know, you got to know the whole details.
Ooh,
It's a bunch.
I know it, but you got to know the whole details.
There's some out here in Appalachia, there's some all across this county.
And we got to, then you figure out, well, then we go to busting our head and how we gonna approach it.
yeah,
So,
okay, that's what I'll do. Thank you all, that helps a lot, thank you so much. All right, let's go quickly and then I'm done. Hey, good news. On September 24th, Miss Ella Speed, a well-known and respected resident of Franklin County, turned 100 years young.
Yeah.
Mrs. Speed was honored here in Apalachicola with a parade and event, and as part of the celebration, Ms. Courtney Bankson authored a proclamation from the county honoring Ms. Speed, which was signed by Chairman Lockley. I just need you all to ratify his signature on that.
got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Master,
Second.
second by Commissioner Burke. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? She had a parade.
Yes, she sure did. I should live that long.
Indeed.
A couple of information items that we need to really look at. 18, inform the board that AFCON will be holding a public hearing to receive public comments about their recommendation for the airport's master plan. These public hearings will be virtual and hosted by AFCON. All comments from the public will be reviewed by AFCON and it will be part of a final report to this Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
And 19, Attorney Schuler scheduled the public hearings to amend the planning and zoning ordinance on October 20th, 2020. This amendment will reduce the membership of the Planning and Zoning Commission. I ask each board member to have your appointee to the Planning and Zoning Commission ready for that same date. If the amendment to the ordinance passes, then the board could approve the new P&Z Commission members, allowing the November P&Z meeting to proceed as scheduled. And everything else, Commissioners, I think is, unless you want me to bring up something, it's just information.
That's it.
Michael, I just needed some direction.
Yes, sir?
In my district, I have, and I've looked at my district roads pretty well, and we have a convenience opportunity as well as, I think, a cost-saving opportunity for me to do some resurfacing of a road that's kind of complex. It's Delaware, Kentucky, and Georgia that border Oak Street. That road has had milled asphalt laid down, and only half of it is actually milled asphalt, and the rest of it is lime rock. So anyway, I think there's a contractor in the area now who does not have to charge us a redeployment fee.
Yes,
And
mobilization,
so
that's
can
right,
you
sir.
give me direction to start looking at
I'll
making
have
it?
him call you. I'll have him
Say
call-
again?
I'll have him call you,
Okay.
and he'll meet you somewhere, and you take him, you show him
I'll take him,
exactly
show him
what
what
you
it
want
is.
done.
Okay.
Then basically, he can send us a proposal, and I'll get you guys to approve that
Okay.
proposal, and it'll come out of your paving funds.
Okay.
And I'll find out how much is left in that account.
Okay.
Okay?
Michael,
Yes,
I have
sir.
the same issue in my district.
Okay.
Good.
And there's a contractor that if they're not there now, they will be shortly. And I want to get it done while they're there, so I don't have to pay the mobilization fee, just as Commissioner,
Yep, saves a lot of money.
the other commissioners have done, but I want to get board's approval to be able to do that whenever the contractor's in.
Okay.
In other words, I don't want to pay a big mobilization fee out of my road paving funds to get him here,
Small road.
but he's in the same neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it should be made clear that we just talked about not paying mobilization fees in order to take advantage of convenience of contractors already deployed here in our real estate.
And you can use
And
that
this is
money
a
to
cost
pay
saving to the public.
Pay the mobilization fee.
That's right.
We don't want to do that.
That's-
We're here.
That's what, you see here what Commissioner Parrish is saying, you save that mobilization fee, and you actually use that to pave more roads.
There you go. That's right.
That's,
We'll demonstrate that savings.
okay.
Well, y'all make a motion to just get with the contractor and
Well,
do y'all thing.
I'll do that and bring back the proposal, and you can approve it then, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the way it works. That works really well.
Get it done.
Let's get it done. Yes,
Get
sir.
it done. All right, next on the agenda will be Mr. Mike Schuler.
Typically, Mr. Morone would bring to the board any of the bid packages and the bid awards, but on September, I'm bringing it up under my report because the bids that you opened up on September the 15th, 2020 for the Alligator Point bike path, Mr. Clay Kennedy called me with a legal question about one of the bids. And as I have already told the board in writing and personally, I have a potential conflict of interest involving one of the bidders that I need the board to resolve either by waiving the potential conflict and allowing me to give the legal advice to the board, or for the board to seek an outside opinion from an outside counsel. But I've got Clay on the phone now. You're on speakerphone, Clay.
Yeah.
I want Mr. Kennedy to walk the board through the review process so that he can explain to you, the issues that he found and the reasons that he called me. Clay, you have the floor.
Thank you. So in the bid package, in the bid form itself, there's a list of items that are required to be turned in as attachments to the bid. Some of those being, in this case, was your pre-qualifications, FDOT pre-qualifications, evidence of doing business in the state, things of that nature. The one item that I think Michael's referring to here is one of the items, item number D, or letter D, is the contractor's license number. I looked that up on the Department of Business and Professional Regulations website. It showed up as delinquent. And that's when I started questioning to the attorney as to, well, I've never run across that, so I didn't know how to handle or how to proceed, so I wanted to get some legal advice. And I think under Michael's direction, he wanted me to call that Department of Business Professional Regulations and find out what that meant. Essentially what that means is either they have not paid their renewal fee or they haven't completed their CEUs, continuing ed classes, that are required. He couldn't tell me, or he did not tell me which one, was the case in this case, but nevertheless, send that information to the attorney, and Michael, unless you want me to continue further, I think that's the gist of where we're at.
Okay, well, yes, I think you need to explain who, in terms of ranking the applicants, would you, I forget how many bidders there were 4 or 5, but would you rank them based on the apparent low bidder? And I'll deal with the licensure issue later, but just for purposes of giving the board the list of the bidders as you have reviewed them and qualified them, starting with number 1 and moving to the end, if you would give the board that information.
Well, I only did the top 3.
Well, then do the top 3.
So Capital Asphalt was the low bidder. Roberts and Roberts was the next low bidder, and I'm rounding up, but it's basically $100,000 difference. And then North Florida Construction would be the next low bidder. And I don't know exactly the total difference between those 2 bids, but Capital Asphalt is the one that we're discussing today.
What do you mean by that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When you say Capital Asphalt is the one we're discussing today, Capital Asphalt is the apparent low bidder whose license is now delinquent because it expired on, sometime in August, didn't it?
Oh, yeah, sometime in August. Correct.
Okay.
And yes, you are correct. That's the one I was speaking of.
Okay. And Commissioners, I'm sure Clay's probably wondered why I haven't answered the question that he asked me. But it was because I do think I have an apparent conflict of interest that I emailed the board immediately after Clay, actually I guess it was the next day, to advise the board I have this potential conflict of interest. I gave you another written memorandum today. I delivered a copy to the clerk. And the issue is that one of my companies has entered into a paving contract with Roberts and Roberts, I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. And we're just waiting on them to come in and do the paving project. And as you've heard from Clay's presentation of the facts, if Capital Asphalt is disqualified, then Roberts and Roberts would be awarded the bid. And I just wasn't comfortable not making that disclosure to the board and asking you to waive the apparent conflict of interest before I rendered any legal advice either to the board or to the engineer, because, the public, I didn't want there to be even the appearance of anything improper or a failure to disclose. So I'm looking for some action from the board, as I have described it in the memorandum I gave you this morning. Either waive the apparent conflict and allow me to give the advice, or get an outside opinion.
I'm gonna make a motion to waive the apparent conflict.
I got a motion on the floor by Commissioner
Second.
Parrish, second by Commissioner Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Well, Commissioners, my recommendation is that the board reject the bid submitted by Capital Asphalt, because their license is delinquent, and your bid notice and your bid documents require them to present their licensure to do business in the state of Florida. Then the license number that they provided is showing, Clay sent me a message earlier during the meeting that as of 12/34 today, that contractor's license is in fact continued in a status of delinquency. So that's my recommendation to the board.
I made that motion.
Got a motion on the floor by Commissioner Jones,
Second.
second by Commissioner Massey and Parrish. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That passed unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a comment on this. Ever since I've become aware of this, it's kind of bothered me that they let their license expire. And then, as of today, it's still expired. Now, someone previously had come to me and told me that they didn't think these people did good work to begin with, but he is the low bidder. And as you know, in government, we normally take the low bidder, but they're everyone's held to the same standard. But it kind of, made me feel like maybe this individual was telling me the truth when you sit there and, even a business as small as what I'm in, I keep a business license, and I make sure it's renewed on time. And I don't know what's going on, but it doesn't seem real good when you got a big bid, a big company, and you just let the business license go delinquent like that. So are we the only people that they're doing work for? Or how are they doing work for other people without a license? I don't know. It just really concerned me about doing business with somebody that don't even have a license to do business in the state of Florida.
All right. Next on the agenda? Oh, next
Yes,
deal with you.
one more thing. Clay, stay on the line. What will happen procedurally at this point is the county will notify the Capital Asphalt that their bid has been rejected and the reasons for the rejection. They'll have an opportunity, they can protest or file a lawsuit if that's what they choose to do. So I just want to make sure that the board is aware of that. So at this point, Clay, with the board's rejection of the apparent low bid of Capital Asphalt for being non-responsive, who do you recommend that the board award this paving contract to?
Well, the next low bidder is Roberts and Roberts, and they are responsive with their with the information that was required to be turned in.
Oh, okay. Are you in a position now that you want the board to go ahead and make a decision based on the facts that you've given, or is there some reason we need to hold off?
We're in legal territory. I don't know. There's nothing from my end but I don't know procedural wise what has to happen from this point. If Capital Asphalt chooses to go a legal route, does that somehow hinder the second low bidder from proceeding to work?
Well, I would ultimately be up to a judge, but I think we should go ahead and notify Capital Asphalt of the rejection and at least send to the second bidder a notice of intent to award the contract to them as the lowest responsive bidder.
Okay.
Okay, that would be my recommendation to the board.
Make a motion, give it to Roberts and Roberts.
It doesn't need a motion, does it?
I'm sorry?
Does it need a motion? In our bid policy, if the first one doesn't
Well, that's true.
meet the criteria, it goes to the second?
That's true.
Okay. I'm just asking.
Good point, Commissioner Cody. With that, I think we're fine just awarding to the lowest responsive bidder, which is Roberts and Roberts, without a motion.
Okay.
And I think the conflict of interest issue was well handled simply by having this discussion, I think made the whole issue very ethical.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah.
All right, Clay, that's it.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Commissioner, that does it for me.
Okay. Public comment. Commissioner comment.
We starting over?
Yeah, starting over.
Really?
Commissioner comment. Meeting adjourned.